One of the reasons why horror stories can get to us on a fundamental level is because they can speak to issues we have in our everyday lives. Issues like being isolated from people, feeling hunted, or simply not being listened to. The sponsor BetterHelp is an option for when you want a licensed professional counselor, someone else to talk to besides family and friends. Steven, a close friend of the SomethingScary team, has been using BetterHelp services for the last 2 months. And this is what he has to say about his experiences. That he's been using BetterHelp up to 4 times a week, every week. His therapist's name is Evelyn. He describes her as incredible. And she's helped him work through these tough and stressful times, along with helping him find the source of some negative thought loops he's been experiencing. Along with that, Evelyn has been able to accommodate his busy schedule. She's even fit him in when he needed her the most and didn't have an appointment booked in advance. He's felt that BetterHelp's seamless and streamlined process of planning appointments has made him feel taken care of and lifted a weight off his shoulders. Because of Steven's testimonial, I'm going to give BetterHelp a try. The service is available worldwide. Over 1 million people have signed up, and you can start communicating in under 24 hours. I'm glad that Steven has found that BetterHelp has been a fit for him. And we have BetterHelp as a sponsor today, just in case they may be a fit for you too. I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/scary. Join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/scary.
Hey, I'm Markeia. Want to hear something scary?
Final score. In the real world, there's no honor amongst thieves, especially when it's their final score. Joe and Mike had been a bad influence on each other since high school, and when neither could hold down a job, they devised a vicious scam to make some easy money. Find someone old and get in and out of their house as fast as you can with whatever loot you can carry. Joe told Mrs. Grantham some sob story about car trouble to get invited into her home. Once inside, Mike asked to use the phone while Joe kept her busy talking. He surveyed the living room as the old lady rambled on. The place smelled like mothballs and was cluttered with a long lifetime's worth of junk. But then, Joe noticed the wooden box on the mantel. It was beautiful. Ornate carvings of winged creatures danced along each side of the small chest. An iron latch held it shut. Maybe there was something valuable inside. Maybe. "I see you found the family coffer," came a voice from out of nowhere. Joe had forgotten about Miss Grantham. She'd been talking the whole time, but none of that mattered until she mentioned the box. "What's inside?" Joe asked. "I couldn't tell you. It's sealed shut. Been in our family for years. Grandma used to say it was cursed, protected." The old lady traced her fingers over the box as she spoke. "See the insects on the sides?" Joe scoffed. "They look like moths." "Moths are harmless." "Harmless?" The old lady chuckled. "Young man, there's a species of moth in Britain that feasts on human skin. Other species are so incredibly toxic their touch will shut down your respiratory tracts and cause anaphylaxis. Harmless appearances can often be deadly." Miss Grantham then smiled and left the room. Quickly, Joe grabbed a tote bag hanging by the door and stuffed the box inside. He whistled for Mike, their signal that it was time to go. They drove back to Mike's run-down apartment to divvy up the loot. Joe had to use a hammer and screwdriver to force open the latch, and once opened, a lone moth fluttered out of it. Joe shuddered as he recalled the old woman's stories of deadly moths, but quickly forgot when he saw the 6 large diamonds inside the box, inlaid into a much larger carving of some sort of moth god. The 2 men couldn't believe it. This kind of score could have one of them set for life. They argued. Neither wanted to share the diamonds with the other, and soon things turned violent. Joe was much bigger than Mike, though, and he always carried a knife. He'd never heard anyone scream like that, and there was way more blood than he expected to. He didn't mean to kill his friend, but now Joe knew he had to get away quickly before someone called the police, because they would want the diamonds too. He threw the bag carrying the box into the back seat and hit the highway. He was tired, but he couldn't rest until he reached the state line. Joe jumped as he felt something crawling on his arm. Another moth, or was it the same one from the box? He shook his arm and it fluttered away. He then felt another one crawling on his neck and frantically swatted at it. Another one flew into his face, and the car swerved as he tried to brush it off. Where were all these bugs coming from? Clicking noises erupted behind him. He looked back and saw the backseat was writhing with hundreds of moths, all pouring out of the bag containing the box. The wings brushed every exposed inch of his skin. Moths landed and crawled inside his clothes. He screamed, and the car swerved again, crashing into the guardrail. Tires blew out as he skidded to a sudden stop. He reached into the mass of bugs to find the bag, and then staggered out of the car as the swarm poured into the sky. He screamed again. He knew the car was useless, and started down the road towards the next exit. He'd find another car to steal and make his getaway. Joe had the diamonds, so everything was fine. When he heard clicking yet again, he fearfully expected to see the horde of moths following him, but when he looked up, he only saw one lone moth high in the sky in front of the full moon. However, that moth's silhouette grew and eventually eclipsed the moon. The breeze started to become a wind. Joe realized this was no ordinary bug and it was heading right for him. He turned and ran. The clicking grew closer. Joe cried out as he realized he had dropped the bag with the diamonds somewhere along the way, but they suddenly didn't matter anymore. Only surviving mattered. The wind became a gust, and the clicks a thunderous roar as something huge grabbed him. Joe tried to keep running, but his feet no longer touched the ground. He turned to stare into the gaping maw of a man-sized moth. Its spindly, hairy legs wrapped all around him as its massive wings pushed them higher into the night. The last thing Joe felt was the moth's first bite. The next morning, Miss Grantham found her family's cursed coffer back on the mantel where it belonged, waiting for the next person foolish enough to try and steal it. Want more Something Scary? You can hear more stories over on the Something Scary podcast, available for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. The links are in the description below. Thank you to all of our patrons. While we do run a limited amount of ads, the show would not be possible without your support. If you'd like to submit a story, send me an email at somethingscary@snarled.com. Like and share this video if it gave you the chills. And don't forget to subscribe to Snarled and turn on the bell for notifications. And if you dare, follow me on social media. Until next time, my dark darlings, sweet dreams.